Hi readers, welcome back to my channel, Lila Wanders and Reads. Lee here, and welcome to my weekend books. Another low read count, another kind of meh week, but I've made some realizations. So I've been doing shorts on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram I've been doing Facebook and Instagram for several years now, but YouTube shorts just recently, really this year, I think. But when I was looking back at my Facebook memories today, in the last couple of days, I realized that this same time last year, I was having the same kind of struggles. I was reading meh books, I was distracted, I found so many books I couldn't get into. Now, this time last year, there was the Hamas attacking Israel thing going on, and the aftermath going on. Now, we have a U.S. election, we have Israel attacking Iran, but when I was thinking about it, I was like, we always have something going on in the world. Is there something about October where I don't read as well, where I get more distracted, where I'm not finding things that are satisfying? Something to look into, and I think I might try to start a log to compare what I said in a video or short last year versus what I say in my weekend books at this, a year later. So, anywho, like I mentioned, this will be a short, I didn't mention it would be a short video, but this will be a short video because I did not get, I'm at 2.5 books. I've got no audio books going on. I do have my fiction book going on, but I'm a little distracted by that too. And I'm not sure where the cover is, so I thought it was around here. Oh well, it may be in the other room. Anywho, I'll talk about that. Get focus. So anyway, I knew I had a really bad week, record low of 2 books last week. That's no longer a record because I've really got 2 books this week. So I went in with something very light. The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore by Laurie Gilmore. This is the second in a trilogy. I did not read the first book, which is rare for me. I usually prefer to read Dress Right Dress, but I didn't. And this was everything I needed it to be. It was very light. I did not have to think too much or feel too much. I did not want to do that. So since this is going to be relatively short, I'm going to read the back to you, in case you didn't hear about it last time I talked about it. When a secret message turns up hidden in a book in the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, Hazel can't understand it. As more secret codes appear between the pages, she decides to follow the trail of clues. She just needs someone to help her out. Gorgeous and outgoing fisherman Noah is always up for an adventure, and a scavenger hunt sounds like a lot of fun. Even better that the cute bookseller he's been crushing on for months is the one who wants his help. Hazel didn't go looking for romance, but as the treasure hunt leads her and Noah around Dream Harbor, their undeniable chemistry might be just as hot as the fresh out of the oven cinnamon buns the bookstore sells. I don't remember her talking about the cinnamon buns, but whatever. This was very cute. I loved Noah in this book. He had, to me, the biggest arc. He sleeps around and he doesn't go for long term, but you also know he has a huge crush on Hazel, and I don't remember her name. And he's had problems with his families, but I can't give it away without giving it away entirely. But one of the favorite parts about this book for me is how Noah made peace with himself and really kind of found out, let's call it the truth, which was a lot of his own shit was shit that was fucking going on in his own head, himself talking to himself. So that's all I say. Cute book, very light. It does not require any mental energy. Not to say that is a bad thing. Sometimes you want stuff that lets you just float away down the stream and not have to fight the current, like I'll talk about in another book. So the next full book that I finished was also a good read. This was Jasmine Zumideh Needs a Win, and when I did my short on this, I realized that her name is probably pronounced Jasmine. She's Persian, so I'm guessing Zumideh is how the author describes her pronunciation of the last name, but they don't go into, that I remembered, the first name. So this was a fun read. It read a little more modern than 1979, and I confess, I had to go check on some things to see if they would have really happened in 1979, like VCR tapes and stuff like that. We in my family did not have VCR tapes in 1979, but we did a few years later. So it's 1979, and Jasmine Zumideh is ready to get the heck out of her stale Southern California suburb and into her dream school, NYU, where she'll major in journalism and cover New York City's exploding music scene. There's just one teeny problem. Due to a deadline snafu, she maybe said she was the senior class president-elect on her application before the election has taken place. But honestly, she's running against Gerald Thomas, a rigid rule follower whose platform includes reinstating a dress code. There's no way she can lose, and she better not, or she'll never get into NYU. But then, a real-life international incident turns the election upside down. Iran suddenly dominates the nightly news, and Jasmine's opponent seizes the opportunity to stir up anti-Iranian hysteria at school and turn the electorate against her. Her brother, Ali, is no help. He's become an outspoken advocate for Iran, just as she's trying to downplay her heritage. Now, as the white lie she told snowballs into an avalanche, and boy does it, Jasmine is stuck between claiming her heritage or hiding it, standing by her outspoken brother or turning her back on him, and winning the election or abandoning her dreams for good. I loved the setting of this. Okay, here's one complaint. I wish the author would have included in the back the rice recipe she describes in the front. Like, I almost think I get it, but I would have liked to see the steps written out step by step. But this is not a cookbook, so I'll forgive it. This is really a good book about finding yourself and your values as you're coming of age. It is about coming to terms with your identity and what other people may think of that identity. And it's about family and that families can still be okay even if there isn't always a happy ending. And it's about taking accountability. I really loved that part about this. When I was growing up, my mom always said that if you mess up, it's better to admit it sooner rather than later, because it'll be worse if it comes out later. And so I've always tried to keep that in mind. When I made a mistake, I tried to admit it. Most of the time, I'm human, and I tell my employees, the managers that work with me, that look, if you mess something up, let us know right away. We can fix anything shy of murder unless you try to cover it up. So, that said, Jasmine makes a lot of mistakes in here. Mistakes of action and mistakes by not inaction. And I was watching her and I knew it was going to be a train wreck for her, and I felt more and more anxious. So kudos to the author for making me feel that anxiety, because I felt it and I was like, oh, Jasmine, that's such a mistake. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. But anyway, so also, you might have heard me speak about this book last week in Book Talk Tuesday, which was on presidents. So I did a YA video on that. I'll try to remember to link that Book Talk Tuesday, because I do have some other really good YA books about presidential elections and presidents. I say they're really good. I've only read one of them. the other ones, but this was really good. I have high expectations on the others. This Book Talk Tuesday, because we are now, today is Saturday, so we're like 9 days, 10, 11, I'm not a great counter. Anyway, from the U.S. presidential election, I voted. I hope you did too if you're eligible. So I was having so much fun. I have so much fun doing research for book hauls, even if it makes me spend money, which I really should not do. So I had so much fun doing this YA book haul. I thought, let me do another book haul related to politics, but still rather light-ish. So tomorrow's Book Talk Tuesday is going to be Women in Politics, where it's primarily fiction. I've got one nonfiction outlier just because I thought that would be fun. Anywho, I'm not even at the end and I'm already summing things up. I considered not recording this until tomorrow and then having finished this book, but I reconsidered because honestly, with We Burn Daylight, I am just over, probably I'm at 3/4 of the way through, and I'm going to skim through the rest of it and call it done today. I did not want to wait because I'm really over this book. And there are two things, I probably won't talk about this next week, I'm going to call it done, so I'm talking about it this week. There are two things on that. So, there were mixed reviews don't fall over. So, there were, like I said, two things. Mixed reviews on this, and I started it, and it's very short chapters, which I love, but from the outset, he mentions in like the first chapter that his brother didn't come home from the war in Iraq, the Gulf War, which he mentions by name later on, to stay on as a contractor. Now, I'm assuming, although they don't mention it, that he's staying on as a foreign contractor because the U.S. did not stay behind and we're not in Iraq in 1993. So maybe some oil company or whatever, they don't mention, but he does later on say that he didn't come home with the rest of his unit. And I'm like, that's not really optional unless you're AWOL, and that's a whole different thing. But anywho, I started reading it and I was like, it's okay. It's not bad. I can let this slide. But then as it got closer and closer to the halfway mark, the pacing just slowed and slowed and slowed. So now, no spoiler, this is about loosely based on Waco and the Branch Davidian compound. We are now at the point where the feds and the local sheriffs are attacking the compound, and it's probably the slowest paced this book has ever been. And I put it down for two days with only picking it up like once or twice. So again, that happened last week with the book, and I end up DNFing it because I just didn't want to finish it. I'm determined to finish this. There's one thing I've got to find out, and I'm just going to skim through it, and I'm going to call it done, and I'll have finished it, not DNF'd it, but whew. So, yeah, again, I won't talk about this. It's really disappointing that, to me, it started out more quickly paced, and then slowed down and slowed down and slowed down, until it gets to the part where it's supposed to be action-packed, and now it's just a trudge, Anywho, again, that may be just me. It may be that something about October is more difficult for me reading-wise, because it doesn't seem to be a year-round thing. I think I have ebbs and flows. And again, I might track that and see, what is a seasonal thing? Am I distracted by fall because the weather's nice? Who knows? Anywho, that has been rambling. I've got 19 minutes left on this SIM card. Not a SIM card. It's a memory card. I do this all the time. Anywho, I've got 19 more minutes, so this will be my last one on this card. As always, I will put links to these 3 books to bookshop.org down in the description box. I'll also put a link to my book talk that I did about presidents, and I will throw books all over the place. I would love to hear from you. Do you have like ebbs and flows in your reading? I'd love to know. Do you have any thoughts on any of these books? Any recommendations of something that you think is fantastic? I'd love to hear from you. I do try to answer all my comments. I appreciate all my comments. I appreciate all the subscribers. Welcome to new subscribers. If you got here this far. Again, I've been a rambling mess. We're going to chalk it up to the fall weather, which is gorgeous outside. That is it for me. If you are a U.S. citizen and you're eligible to vote, please vote in this election. Happy reading.